Hello, everybody. This is your host, Dr. Angelika Christie, and you are on the show, Your Radiant Life After 45. We speak about skills for healthy, happy, and prosperous women. I believe in a world where women are cherished and can thrive because the world needs our light. And I help you discover and live your unique gift confidently and with pride. So, with over 25 years of professional expertise as a naturopathic doctor specializing in healthy longevity and a lifestyle and relationship coach, I share my heart and my knowledge with you because I have quite a bit of life experience. I'm not a spring chicken anymore. So if this sounds good to you, please be my guest here every week on this day of the week at this time of day. If you cannot make it, don't forget that all shows are available to watch in the archives. So I have a treat for you today. You will experience what a soul-aligned ghostwriter can do for you. And my guest that I'm going to interview today is Danielle Perlin Good. And she is a soul-aligned ghostwriter and an award-winning best-selling author. I would have thought so, because, once you must be an author first, I believe. But here's what she does. She helps company founders and leaders share their powerful legacies by unleashing their memoirs, self-help, personal growth, and leadership books so that they can create massive impact and transform lives. And since 2008, Danielle has written and edited hundreds of articles, book on social media, content on social media, e-newsletters, and all kinds of writings. So she went from working overnight shifts at the Tribune company to corporate digital marketing gigs, one of which was at the Albert Whitman and Co. Agency, an esteemed children publishing house. Actually, I have to interrupt here because my youngest daughter, just published a children's book. So I may have to put you in contact with each other. And Danielle is very unique because she uses mindset techniques, which really elevates the editing and her interviewing skills, as well as quantum healing modalities to ensure her clients develop a beautiful, crafted, and publishable book that they will forever cherished and that will be read, right? That's out there. That's not hidden somewhere, but it comes out. And her website is thesoulalignedghostwriter.com. Okay, Danielle, welcome to our show. And I'm so happy for you to be here because I also believe that so many we are thinking about women here, so I will not say men as well, but it's men and women. At some time in their life, they feel not only they would like to maybe later in life to get some help writing their memoirs, so that they're not only family and friends, but even generations that come afterwards have an idea about who they were and what was going on in their lives. And of course, today in the business world, to really bring out what you're all about in a powerful and particular way, without trying to do it yourself, dabbling around and using a lot of energy, a lot of time, and not being effective. That makes so much sense. So I would like to ask you, why would a leader seek out a ghostwriter from your point of view?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Angelika. And I'm so thrilled that we get to have this conversation today. In terms of why a leader would seek out a ghostwriter, it's when they have two main pain points. One is a lack of time, and another is a lack of knowledge. And what I mean by lack of knowledge is the fact that they have the knowledge base of what they know best. right? So they are people who are very high up in their field, in their company. They are busy CEOs, CMOs, C-suite executives, sometimes other powerful leadership positions in the companies that they run or help run. And they also sometimes have families, and they do not have time or energy to learn how to write a book and how to organize the information into a book. The people who seek out ghostwriters are intelligent and brave and curious, because they know that in order to do their best work, outsourcing and delegating is crucial. It is so important to be able to do those things and be effective in your everyday life. We know that if you take on too many responsibilities at once, we're not able to necessarily fulfill all of those responsibilities, all of those requirements, right?
Yeah.
And it's so critical for a leader to step back and say, is this something that I can do on my own, right? And we talked a little bit about this before we went live, and I like to talk about our value system. And this really deals with a lot of the things that we're going to be discussing today. And our value system, two of the factors are time and energy, right? Another is knowledge, and another is money, right? And we have to talk about that. We have to figure out how we're utilizing our time, how we're utilizing those 24 hours every day. And if a book is on our agenda, if that's something we really, really want to do, it's okay to ask for help. It's good. It's a great thing to be able to step back and say, I need assistance. I need help with my manuscript.
Yeah, yes. And it makes total sense, because I don't understand why so many think, oh yeah, I have a book within me. Someday it will come out. And that's maybe why so many books stay inside, will never really be written, because there are so many other areas when it comes to marketing, when it comes to, all other areas of life. We seek out a professional, who can advise us and help us, and maybe do it with or can do it for us, and in whichever way. But it is so important to do this, when you want to be effective and smart and use your time and resources effectively, absolutely.
1,000%. And thank you for that addition. That's exactly what I like to tell people when somebody comes to me and asks, why would I hire a ghostwriter, or why do I need a ghostwriter? I actually have a client who I'm working with right now. And one of her first questions for me was, wow, you said I'm a wonderful writer. Why would I need a ghostwriter? And I said, it's not about being a wonderful writer. It's about organizing that information into a book, and then knowing which information needs to stay and what needs to go, right? Yeah. And I think that's a really, really good question to think about, because just because you're a good writer, it does not mean that you can't have a ghostwriter. A lot of great writers have ghostwriters.
I mean, look at the movies, they shoot, I would say they cut it down to 20%, of all of the footage that they have, and that makes it powerful. It needs to be organized in a particular way, just with writing, because that's where it starts, right? Right. So I would like for you to also clarify the difference between ghostwriting and editing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to throw in another term that your audience may have heard of, which is called a book coach. So there are different ways to access help for your book project. Yeah. So one way, and I'll describe the differences between a ghostwriter and an editor first, and then we'll talk a little bit more about what a book coach does. Mm-hmm. So what happens with ghostwriting is you are starting usually from scratch. Sometimes you get somebody, and I've had this happen, where they have sent materials over to me, but it's all stream of consciousness, right? It's not necessarily in an organized fashion. And what we do is we develop an outline with a lot of specific details, as well as a story bank of ideas. We go through the chapters. And again, the process in the very beginning to develop this outline is different depending on the type of nonfiction book. So memoir is going to be organized very differently than a business or thought leadership book, right? So we want to see exactly how we want to convey the information that they want to share. If they have a specific business methodology that, is an acronym, right? If they have specific ideas that need research for, in order for the target audience to truly understand, then that's where the ghostwriter comes in. Okay, so an editor usually comes in when there are a couple of drafts of the manuscript. The author has more of the responsibility. I like to say with an editor, we take the manuscript as is when the author says, okay, I can't look at this any further. I need a good editor to come in here and tell me what's working and what's not working. And we don't have to go into depth about the different types of editing, but I do encourage all of the listeners, all of the viewers today, to understand what type of editing you're getting if you are engaging with an editor. So there's the highest level, which is what I perform occasionally, which is called developmental editing. Okay. And a developmental edit is for somebody who needs that overall look, overarching view of the story, the transitions of the content. And then there's content editor, copy editor, and proofreader, right? And they all are different levels. So when somebody says, oh, I'm hiring an editor, I want you to be cognizant of knowing that all of those positions are different in terms of what you will get from that engagement and the cost. The cost should be different from a proofreader versus a developmental editor because it's a different workload. Right. And so the main difference, right, is, and I'll just go through it briefly again, is a ghostwriter comes in at the beginning. There's no manuscript, not necessarily. And there also might be times where somebody, which has happened to me, where somebody hired a ghostwriter, was not happy, and had all these different versions, all this different material. And that comes into play in the very beginning of the process. So that's something that then I had to organize and figure out which items we were going to keep, which ones we were discarding. An editor comes into play after the author has already produced a manuscript draft, at least one. And then a book coach usually comes into place somewhere in between or in the very beginning. So when somebody comes to me and says, I want to write the book myself, but I need that accountability. I need to understand how to organize this information. I need a coach to walk me through this, right? Mm-hmm. That is a very different engagement than ghostwriting because the author has primary responsibility for the material, and the coach's responsibility is to inform the author of the different ways that they can go about doing it and to incorporate, like you introduced me so beautifully earlier, with mindset techniques, right? So this is a lot of why I developed these different methodologies into my practice with clients, is because I was getting a lot of memoir clients, specifically with book coaching and ghostwriting, who had a very hard time reopening wounds from traumatic experiences that were closed for sometimes many years, and they were reopened and reinvigorated in this process And it is not easy at all to do that and then write about it, right? So that's something that I want everybody to think about too, is do you need help with that aspect, right? Do you need help with, and I like to say I come at this from a very non-judgmental point of view as an editor, as a book coach, or as a ghostwriter.
Yeah.
And my first question to anybody who's watching is thinking about what type of support you feel you need in order to get your book done. That's where I come from in the very beginning of the process during my exploratory calls, because I like to know how I can support somebody. I'm not going to sell somebody a ghostwriting service if that's not how they want to write their book, because that wouldn't be fair to them or me. And the idea of working together on a nonfiction material, we have to make sure that we are a good match, right? Yeah. We're a good match energetically, spiritually, that you feel you're well taken care of by this person. This is not a short-term engagement. This is a long-term engagement. Right.
And I believe when there are different belief systems, that could clash in how you present something and how you look at something, so there must be an alignment. I can totally see that.
Yeah.
So you are doing mostly corporate work, right? Or are you also doing memoirs or Okay.
Yes, 1,000%. I've actually expanded my services, and I am doing all sorts of types of nonfiction materials. Yeah. So that includes website copy, it includes thought leadership consulting, story coaching. I want to make sure that I am working with heart-centered, soul-centered individuals who have thoughtful messages that they want to put out there in the world, whether it's in book form or it's in a different type of nonfiction material. And that's what matters to me, is ensuring that if you actually want to get something done in this lifetime and you keep saying that you want to do it, then do it, right? So we're recording this, it's towards the beginning of May in 2023 right now. Think about, when we make those New Year's resolutions, right? June is around the corner. That's half a year. If you told yourself you were going to start a project, a book project, new website copy, what have you, in January, what have you been doing? What's stopping you? What's preventing you from asking for help? It's okay to ask for help.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my goodness. And this also made it clear that you're not just a book per se writing, a ghostwriter, but you really expanded to, to articles, to anything that is the media out there that needs to be organized and heard and well presented, right? Yeah.
1,000%. And it's important to me, again, to make sure that I can work with and help that individual. If I do not think I can help them, I will say no. But when I'm presented with opportunities and somebody comes to me and says, I need help with, and they name what it is, and I ask them some questions, and I see if I believe I can truly help them. The other wonderful thing about being an entrepreneur is I've developed a vast network of wonderful, high-achieving people. And if I meet somebody and I say to myself, I don't think this is the right job for me, but I have a wonderful person I can refer you to. That's my goal for every single exploratory call, whether we work together or they end up working with somebody reliable and competent who I know to achieve their goals.
That's priceless, because in today's time, and more than ever, I believe, relationships need to be established first. And when you can refer somebody that is at the level that you recommended, or the other person that you recommend this person to needs that particular level. It may be higher, it may be lower than you, it may be anything, right? But you have to make we will find out during that conversation. And if you can make a referral, and you have created that network, then you are plus 1,000, so your value, it becomes priceless, because you don't just talk to one person, you talk to Danielle with her entire army of other professionals that could be a better fit for you, or an additional support, whatever it may be. And I really believe that is one of the areas where we are heading today, because there is so much fake out there. There is so much, and AI does not help that whole thing, that whole development toward just more. No, we want quality. We want to know that we are understood, because life is precious. We only have that one life to live, and we don't want to waste time. We don't want to waste money. So go for the best. And I know, just by listening to you, everybody else will know and understand, because they also see you. You radiate that as well, that you are genuine, that you are speaking about something that you have a vast knowledge of, plus that very personal, vulnerable, authentic alignment with that, so that's so beautiful.
Thank you. And there's one point I wanted to make based on what you just said, and thank you so much for your kind words. I appreciate it very much. And that was the mention of AI. And we could go on and talk about that for hours, but I just want to say one aspect of it is anybody can utilize AI for some research purposes. We can ask AI different questions. We can prompt it different ways to help us generate content. However, if you look at the content that AI is generating, the human aspect is missing.
Yeah, and especially the soul is missing, and
the soul is missing.
The personal touch is missing, because there is information and we can get that. But what is it? What is happening between the content, the information, and your heart that is added to it, and your specific point of view, and your specific maybe sometimes there could be a delicate twist to it that no artificial, no machine, because it's really machine generated, right? There's no soul in that.
Right.
It's a tool.
Right. It's a tool. So if if you see an ad on a social media site that says, write your book in 30 days using AI, I urge you to really consider what the quality would end up being if you go for that. Right. I'm always an advocate of you do you. You have to do what's best for you. But how I work is of high quality and high integrity. And that's very important to me and everybody in my referral network.
And your ability, and it's also different because you have the ability to tune into the person that you're working with, right? I mean, you find out everything about them as well. And so it's a beautiful, what is actually the process? I mean, we have kind of, you shared it a little bit, but going maybe one step deeper, and we only have a couple of minutes left.
Yeah. So I'll go through the main steps. So the main steps are, we would work together somewhere between 5 and 8 months. And that depends again on the type of nonfiction book we're working on. It depends on the research involved. It depends on the word count, and it depends on your time frame. If somebody comes to me and says, I want this business book done in 3 months, then the amount of times we're going to have to get together, the amount of feedback that we will need to receive in the very early stages of the process will need to amp up. So that's just one example. I do require my authors to meet with me for about an hour or so on a weekly basis for the first 3 months. And the reason I do this now is because I don't want to lose momentum, and I don't want them to lose momentum. I want us to have that commitment to each other that we are meeting, even if it ends up being a half hour some weeks because of some other commitment, or they have to do it by phone, or we have to change the time by an hour, right? We make that commitment because this is a commitment that both of us are making to each other and to the project that you want to put out in the world. This is a legacy project. This is something that's going to stay with you the rest of your career, and for your children, for your grandchildren, potentially. This is something that we want to work on diligently and with effort. And if you were doing this yourself, I want you to think about how many hours a week would I need to spend to get even a draft done, if you think about it like that. If you don't have an hour a week, then I want you to think about how you're spending your time. And I want you to think about, how can I make an hour a week for this commitment?
Yeah. Now, once you really understand that this is something that is there forever, right? It's that important. And yes, you can maybe, if something evolves, you can use that and then maybe have another edition a couple of years later or so. But especially when you start with something from scratch, this is you need all of the help you can get. And that's why I am so pleased to be able to introduce you, because as I said earlier, there is this kind of this wave of, you have to write your book in the weekend and write your book in 30 days, as you say, and use AI. And it's confusing to a lot of people that they then believe, oh, it's nothing, I just, throw that out. But well, that wouldn't be your client anyway. No. If you are serious about producing something or having a legacy in whichever way it is, personally or in your business, then it's not only worth it. You must take it as that important and get the help you need. It's really that necessary. Yes. And thank you so much for sharing this. I believe I have already mentioned in your introduction, at the end of your introduction, your website, but is there something else you want to share with our viewers? Is there something that you want to give away, or that you want to have a link that they can get more information or something?
Sure, absolutely. So one thing that you could do is, if you're interested in being on my email list, you just go to my website and you will see a pop-up for a free meditation. And it's about 10 minutes long. And I've heard really good things from colleagues and from clients regarding this meditation. It's completely free. All you need to do is sign up on my email list. I do not send emails on a daily basis. I send them about every other week, approximately. And if you are interested in having an exploratory call, then there's a button on my website where you can schedule a consultation. Just fill out a Google Doc, tell me a little bit about you, and I will personally text you not an assistant, not an AI generated robot. I will. And I will have a conversation with you about what type of support you're looking for.
Beautiful. And let's, can you just repeat the website again?
Yes, it's thesoulalignedghostwriter.com. That's SOUL aligned, ALIGNED, ghostwriter, all one word, ghost, like writer.com.
.com. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much, Danielle. This was so eye-opening and heart-opening and exciting, because we all have that book within us, and we know that there is so much value in doing this, and you are the person to get in contact with.
Thank you so much for having me today, and I hope that your audience is very happy to have learned more about the field that I'm in.
Absolutely. Okay.